Hey, it's Darlene. Welcome to my channel. I'm working on a one-page layout today using these photos from some American Indian markings that we saw while we were in Arizona, and I'm using this sketch from Sketch and Scrap. So if you notice, there were 3 strips of papers going horizontally. Well, I found this scrap paper and it already had that bottom zip strip or whatever they're actually called. So I thought I would use that as one of the strips. I also pulled another strip that was already cut. These are just scraps from papers that I've used on previous layouts. And I always try to use scraps whenever possible because, well, why not? I did decide I like this darker side better. So I did flip that over. And then also those, I don't know what you'd call them. I want to just call them like quilt squares. So that's what I'm going to call them. I made those for a different layout and these were extra. So I decided to use them also on this page. And again, these were, I made a kit because we did a whole adventure road trip and which included Utah, Arizona, and then of course California. And so I did a bunch of die cuts or different cuts that I thought I'd use, and these were just leftovers, so I thought why not use them. So I'm going to stick with doing the embellishments kind of in a diagonal like I showed my hand earlier, which makes it a little bit easier because I only had 2 of these quilt squares, and I always like to try to do the whole 3 thing, but this time I did without it. Now I really like that wild salmon base page that I use because although it doesn't really coordinate with anything, I just love that color and I think it's so pretty because it's like a coral. I feel like coral just goes with everything. So on that sketch there was a scallop border on both the top and the bottom. I didn't think scallop really worked, so I'm just going to use this blue scrap piece of paper, and again is all in that same packet, and I'm cutting down a 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to cut this down. So this is a 1/2 inch by 12 inch, but I'm going to cut it down and I'm just going to kind of slide them underneath both of those little squares, and so that is going to take place of the scallop squares. And thankfully, I was able to just kind of tuck those under without having to really pull it up. And then this one up on top, because the edge is squared, I just kind of cut that in half, and then not even half, like a little inch on one side. Well, you saw me, and that worked out fine there. So again, just kind of taking advantage of the scrap papers that I have and just making what I have work. So you don't always need to grab the full piece of paper or, because this is covering some of that, what would be the strip. It looks like it's going all the way through, but you don't necessarily need to use paper for the part that's underneath. I don't know if I said that right, but I hope that makes sense. So if you just have a little piece, you could definitely hide it in and just kind of tuck it in and make it work for you. And then I use scissors later to just trim off those edges. To the left are some stickers. They're tile stickers, and I bought those from the dollar store. And I bought them a while ago, but they're definitely that Southwest look. And I pulled those out because I thought, okay, I'm going to try to use them because it still has that same motif, like of those 2 die cut squares or cardstock squares that I used with the Cricut. So in a minute you're going to see me pull those out, but I'm just not really sure where to put them, and so I get all kinds of confused, but you'll see me. And I think that's the fun part about scrapbooking, is because most of the time, if you're like me, we don't have a plan. We're just kind of looking at things. We're trying things out. We're moving things. We're changing things. But that's part of what we're doing. We're just kind of what looks eye-pleasing to us, or at least in my opinion, that's what I do. So you can see here that I put them in that like 3 in a line, and I thought, ugh, I just didn't like that. So I put them back on the sheet. And the nice thing about, even though you're using stickers, if you just kind of put it on without rubbing it on, it usually just comes up very easily. So, and that's really what I did there. And I didn't realize until I pulled them off the sheet that they were pretty transparent. But it's fine, it works. So I just added 1 over there in that bottom right. You saw me do that. And I'm going to add 2 over on that top right. I don't even know why. But I just kind of thought that I wanted the one on the top, or not top right, top left. The top just to be a little bit heavier, I guess is the right word. A little bit more going on there. And so when I tried to put a second one over there in that bottom, I thought, nope, I just like the one. And I'm going to kind of build off that. But again, what type of embellishments do I have that go with this. Now, I have a bunch of cactus stuff. There weren't any cactuses in these photos. I think it would have worked since it's in Arizona, but I just thought, I wasn't feeling it. So right now I'm just working on a journaling block, and I just grabbed some white cardstock that was on my desk already, and then I'm going to use the rest of that blue and cut a mat. So I thought I measured right, but you know, what is it? Like measure twice, cut once, or whatever, because it was wrong, but it was no big deal. I just cut a little bit off the white, made it a little bit smaller than I had originally planned. But you know, again, I got everything I needed to say on the journaling block, so that was fine. And I just end up gluing that there. I used a pen, black pen, to draw lines, and I don't care if they're a little wonky. Matter of fact, they are wonky. There's no way it's straight, but it's straight-ish. And if you are a subscriber of mine, you know that everything I do is straight-ish. And if you're not, please make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. I do post 2 videos a week. One is always scrapbooking, and the other is whatever it is I'm creating in the Command Center. The Command Center is the name of my blog and also the name of my craft room. But again, I do hope you do hit subscribe, because I'm hoping for this year, 2024, that I try to get that 3rd video in. Now, I can't guarantee that I'll be able to do it every week because, you know, life, but I am really going to try hard to do 3 a week instead of just the 2, and also join more challenges, because I really do enjoy the challenges. It really just kind of pushes me to try to do something different. And kind of takes you out of a rut sometimes. So anyhow, I'm looking forward to that. So make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any of that. And you can also hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I post a new video. So to me, that journaling spot is kind of that 3rd, triangle bunch of embellishments, whatever you want to call it. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's, the 3rd place where you see blue, and I hope that's eye-pleasing. I grabbed some other things that I kind of thought, well, okay, maybe these go. So I did find some cork stuff. I'm looking at wooden stuff. At first I was looking at like maybe some arrows or something, but that that didn't seem to work in my mind either. So I used these, I'm not even sure what they're called. I'm going to call them kind of racket arrows. But because they're wood, I really like that they worked well with the browns that was in the paper. So I hope you agree. And I did 3 kind of bigger ones up on top, and I'll end up pulling out 3 more for the bottom. But, and that's really about it, folks. I hope you had a good chance to look at that sketch. I did get it from Sketch and Scrap, which I am a design team member for. And I will tell you, they post 2 card sketches and 2 one-page layout sketches a month, and they're fabulous. I love working with sketches because it just kind of gives me a place to start. And if you have not used a sketch, I will tell you that, you can follow the sketch to the T, or you could be inspired by it. And I think for me, I was probably a little bit more inspired by it than following it. But I do love a sketch with more than 1 photo, because that is how I scrapbook. I very rarely scrapbook with only 1 photo. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just that I take a lot of photos. Even when I tell myself, oh, only 1 photo. No, I'll take like at least 3 or 4. But anyhow, again, this is kind of like a little signature move here where I outline my layouts when I feel like it just needs something else. I always outline it with a black thin pen. Well, I shouldn't say always, sometimes it's white, but with a thin pen. And I always do it at least 2 times, because it is not straight, but when you do it twice, for some reason, it looks like you're supposed to do it twice, or it's not supposed to be straight. And then where it kind of just bundles up, you see me kind of just scribbling little lines. I do that here and there. And so it looks kind of like, the thread balled up a little bit if it was actually a sewn line. But I do like that look. I think it's really fun. And I'm not sure if I get it on camera, but I end up putting a little bit of black splatter in those empty spots too. I just kept feeling like it needed something more. And I may end up putting some sort of title, but I just don't know what kind of title to put. But for now, adding the splatter like I'm doing now is the last step, and I'm happy with it. So, and I hope you agree. And like I said, just, make sure you hit that like button. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. Bye.